1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters don't move. Whatever.
Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down! Now, for those that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. Yeah, that's me gassing right there on that intro, and if you want to get that song, it's available on a 10-song EP. You can get it by digital download, or you can get it by CD. Hit me up on my email, 16tolifemusic@gmail.com, or DM me on Instagram, 16DALIFE, all one word, Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle me $20, and I'm gonna get it to you ASAP. Now let's hop right up into this video. So in my last video, I told you guys that I was extremely sure that Bricc Baby would be denied bail when he went to his bond hearing. And so yeah, just like I predicted, he was denied a bond at his bond hearing. And I'm definitely not making this video to gloat or to come back and say, yeah, I told you so, or anything like that. The reason I feel so strongly that Bricc Baby would be denied bail at his bond hearing is because I have a decent understanding of how the law works due to the 2 years I was going back and forth to trial and court proceedings due to some serious charges that eventually led me to getting a life sentence. I spent a long time in prison, and I sincerely don't want to see anybody locked up because I know what comes with that, the hardships of being away from your family, having your freedom took, so on and so forth. Now, many times you'll have individuals who are either in a gang, have a gang ideology, or who are of a criminal mindset be anti-police, right? And I definitely understand all that, but being anti-police doesn't mean that you should be ignorant of reality and not view things in a realistic type way. So real quickly, I'm gonna show you guys this video of Poetic Flacco discussing a few things that happened when Bricc Baby went in for his bond hearing.
This is information you're not gonna get from anywhere else. I spoke directly to Bricc Baby and Loose Cannon about 30 minutes ago. I spoke directly to somebody who was in the courtroom who don't like Loose Cannon and Bricc Baby. So you're gonna have the other side of that. And I also spoke to a courtroom reporter who was also there as well, who's unbiased. So we got the real, unfiltered, true story of exactly what took place today at Bricc Baby's court hearing and at Loose Cannon court hearing. On April 7th, Bricc Baby and Loose Cannon will call into the No Jumper show where they will tell the fans that they are coming home April 9th. That's because they had a bond hearing that Wednesday, and they both anticipated being released. The reason that they were so confident about they were going to be home on April 9th, the Wednesday, was because both these dudes have put together pretty strong bond packages. Bricc Baby in particular, his mom put up a multi-million-dollar property. So they for sure thought, I mean, even if you give him $1 million bond, he gonna be home the same day. So they for sure thought the judge would have considered giving them bonds. It didn't turn out like that, bruh. All right, I'm not even gonna extend this or try to make you guys wait for the answer. They both were denied bond. They both got denied for similar reasons. Prior criminal history, they both have an extensive rap sheet, and their conduct ever since the investigation started. The court will point to them not being 100% confident that Bricc Baby or Loose Cannon won't interfere with the court process if they are able to go home and fight this case from home. They would also point to they believe that they're both a threat to society, right? Especially for Bricc Baby, they point to how Bricc Baby had a firearm on his hip live on No Jumper a day before his arrest. So they believe that if you weren't acting right, while knowing there was an ongoing investigation a day before your arrest, then what makes us think that you will act right if we release you?
Now, in that video you just saw, Poetic Flacco basically listed all the reasons I stated in my video why I believed Bricc Baby would be denied bail. Now, many times inside of prison and outside of prison, when you have individuals who are of a criminal mindset or in a gang, they're talking about a certain situation where a person may have been arrested or something like that. If you have a dude who makes a statement or expresses an opinion that some people in that conversation, for whatever reason, can misconstrue that this dude is not rooting for the bad guy, even if his statement or opinion is just a realistical assessment of that dude's situation, they may try to say that you on some police type stuff and you put negative things into the atmosphere. Now, if you one of them type of people who believe in that type of stuff, in all actuality, the negative vibes was put into the atmosphere when that individual made the decision to live the lifestyle that brought the police to his doorstep. Let me break something down for y'all that I didn't break down in the last video, right? One thing that they failed to factor into the equation is the judge, right? So basically in this situation, you playing ball in somebody else's court. That's like playing basketball and you traveling to somebody else's gym. So not only are you up against the players, you up against the fans, and you up against the referee. In this situation, the referee being the judge. Now, a lot of people don't understand, in many states, you have certain qualifications in order to become a judge. In the state of California, to become a state judge, you have to have at least 10 years of experience as a lawyer. Now, historically, in most cases, the voters will vote a former prosecutor into the position of being a judge as opposed to a former defense attorney being a judge. Now, where that's extremely important is because if a former prosecutor is now a judge, keep in mind that the prosecutor was already anti-criminal, anti-defendant before he became a judge. So anybody that's been through a serious legal situation will tell you that you will have a prosecutor and you will have a defense attorney argue an opinion on a legal matter. Now, the legal issue will be the same, of course, but it will be pertaining to the defendant. And at times, this legal issue will be interpreted very different by the prosecutor and the defense. And this is why they have different positions on that legal issue. And so now, of course, if the judge was a former prosecutor and he's the one who gets the final ruling on this legal issue, what way do you guys feel he's more likely to rule? So now, of course, you can best believe if that judge, former prosecutor, can find any wiggle room in those arguments by the prosecutor and the defense attorney to rule in favor of the prosecutor and mask it as a legal decision, he's definitely going to do that. And even if that judge's ruling is 100% wrong, for the time being, his ruling stands, even if later on it's overturned by a higher court. Now, I've seen many people get a judge's rulings overturned by a higher court, but sometimes it may take 2 or 3 years. Sometimes it takes 17, 18 years. And so for the moment, in that moment, his ruling stands. And so for those reasons and a few more reasons, anyone who believed that Bricc Baby had a chance at getting bond was sadly mistaken. You know, it doesn't matter if you can put up a house that's worth $1 million. They don't care about that. The thing that the judge and the prosecutor is focused on is how much, if any, of a threat you are to society. We also have to keep in mind that the judges have loved ones, they have family, they have friends also out here roaming around in the community. And so in their mind, if they feel that they can lock up an individual who is potentially problematic and criminal, and if they can keep that person in jail, that's exactly what they're going to do. And this next thing that I'm about to say almost goes without saying. Anybody out there that's been keeping up with this particular situation knows that Loose Cannon and Bricc Baby continuing to call in from the federal detention center basically was shooting themselves in the foot. Do you guys know what an arrest is? An arrest is basically a kidnapping. If we look up the word kidnapping, it is when someone comes and abducts you and holds you against your will. So basically, an arrest is a legal kidnapping. When people with uniforms on and badges on their shirt can legally come to your house, kidnap you, and take away your freedom, and there's nothing you can do about it, that is a serious situation. Once again, that's not the time to be hollering, sweetie, and all that type of stuff on the phone, still trying to make content when your life and your freedom is at stake. I also failed to mention, which is almost kind of neither here nor there, a federal judge is not required to have a law degree, though most of them have some type of legal law training. In order to become a federal judge, you have to get nominated by the president, and then that nomination has to be confirmed by the Senate. But you can best believe being confirmed as a judge by the Senate has some exclusive criteria that an individual has to meet, and they are going to scrutinize your legal background, and they do like to see something in your background that shows you will be good in solving legal issues, legal disputes, things of that nature. Last thing that I'm going to talk about, of course, is something that's also very, very important. Like I said earlier, a lot of times you will have judges who were former prosecutors. So basically, the judge who's presiding over whatever trial that's going on at that moment and the prosecutor are in cahoots. They're on the same team. The same way you have gang members say that, hey man, look, I'm riding with my homeboy regardless whether he's right or wrong. Don't think for a second that the judges and the prosecutors don't feel the same way. The only and main difference behind the judge riding with his quote unquote homeboy, the prosecutor, is the judge is able to disguise his willingness to ride with his homeboy behind a legal ruling. And you can best believe that's one thing that a lot of individuals locked up facing a criminal situation fail to put into the equation. And the judge, by being a former prosecutor himself, he already knows, because this has been a tested and tried, calculated strategy that they use. It breaks down his morale. It breaks down his will to fight. And in the long run, it may also break down his will to be uncooperative. And due to the stress that he's getting from his family, his girlfriend, his wife, his kids arguing and fussing, crying about him not being there, not being able to contribute, sometimes it makes certain individuals decide to be cooperative. The longer you stay, the more you might be willing to say is definitely something that the DA believes in. Now, when I say he, I'm not necessarily talking about Bricc Baby per se. I'm talking about anybody that's locked up and they're at the mercy of a bond hearing to gain their freedom. As we saw, though, Bricc Baby is most definitely not exempt from the games that the district attorney play on any level, the state or the feds, in order to try to make a person's time harder. They definitely know that it's more comfortable trying to fight your case and preparing to go to trial from the luxury of your home. So anytime they can deny you and hold you in captivity and make you deal with those circumstances from an unfamiliar and uncomfortable place, they are going to do that 100%, no doubt. And now we see by the information and the evidence presented on the wiretaps that Bricc Baby has gave them all the information in the world for the judge to justify him having no bail and having to fight his case from the confines of the federal detention center. They caught some conversations with him talking about doing harm to the mother of his child. And just in the judge's opinion, obviously, just a lot of threatening things that sounded too risky to let Bricc Baby out on the streets again and be a free man while he has these charges pending over his head. Now, just because he got denied today doesn't necessarily mean that he can't apply for another bond hearing in the future. But as you heard them say also, they're still investigating Bricc Baby. And just in my opinion, things are more likely to get uglier before they get nicer. And so anyway, we're going to see how this play out, man. Y'all already know who it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.